Okay, Eastern Conference Finals time. After narrowly escaping the second round of the playoffs versus the Nets, we now have the Boston Celtics. Now, I imagine people will look at this and say, well, if you can beat the Nets, you can beat the Celtics. But I wouldn't be so sure of that, because the thing about the Nets is, as good as they are offensively, their defense was not great. It's not like they were bad defensively necessarily, but they just were not good either. The Celtics defense this year was just a hair off from being as good as ours. It's basically just as good as ours. And I said their defense was slightly worse than us by a hair, and it was. Well, their offense was a fraction of a hair below ours, literally 0.1 points worse per game. This team also won just 2 less games than us this year, and this Celtics team just really isn't what the current Celtics are. They, of course, were the third team that benefited from the trade that started this series. They landed Yusuf Nurkic, which gave them a solution for their biggest weakness, which was the 5 spot. He's been awesome for them and one of the best centers in the league. Jaylen Brown has taken a big leap. The guy is a 93 overall at this point. He averaged 21 and 6 on great efficiency and made an all defensive team, so he is a lot better. Jason Tatum averaged 27 and 6 on even greater efficiency than Jaylen. Oh, and he's now a freaking 97 overall. And because 2K fixed him, because CPU Tatum was garbage in last year's 2K, he's just a hell of a player to try and defend. And Kemba Walker is one of those players in 2K who always finds a way to burn me. The guy is better in 2K than he is in real life. This team also has depth. Off of the bench for this team, they have Otto Porter, Aaron Nesmith, who's developed into an 80 overall, as well as Robert Williams and Tristan Thompson, who are both really good backup bigs. So this team is great defensively, really good offensively, and deep. This team honestly scares me more than the Brooklyn Nets. So how do we go about dealing with this team? Well, on defense, Grant is going to get the Tatum matchup. I'm not putting Ben on him for the same reason that I didn't put him on Kevin Durant. I think that's a good matchup. Grant is pretty similar physically to Tatum, but I'm sure he's going to score plenty regardless. That's just kind of what it's going to be. Then as for who Drew Holiday is guarding, well, in my experience in 2K, Kemba is going to shoot the ball more, and he's more likely to have a bigger scoring night than Jaylen Brown, whereas Brown is more likely to score within the flow of the offense. So I'm going to put Drew on Kemba and Gary Trent on Jaylen Brown. If it turns out that Brown is the one killing us, I'll switch that matchup. I know Brown is 3 inches taller than Drew, but I think he'll be fine, and that's still a better matchup than Gary Trent. Everyone else is going to be fine defensively matchup-wise. Ben on Nurkic is fine. CJ on Marcus Smart is fine. The thing is, though, outside of when we match up with a team with a great center, I'm pretty much always confident in our defense. But on offense, we might be in trouble. Nurkic is a pretty decent matchup for Ben. He is okay on his feet, defending in space, and he's pretty damn good in the paint. He's just good at being big. CJ gets the privilege of having his choice between Marcus Smart or Jaylen Brown defending him, which is basically a fucking nightmare. Gary Trent also gets that privilege. So because of that, I might have to go to Drew Holiday more, just because Kemba is far from an intimidating defensive matchup, while Brown and Marcus are both amazing defenders. But with CJ having such a tough matchup, I'm really concerned, because when he plays bad, is not efficient, we tend to play bad as well, because he's where I get a majority of my shot creation. And it's not like Ben has some matchup that I can just spam. So I think this will be a close one. A defensive series for sure. I think we can win it, but I'm also not confident. But let's get into it and see if we can get this damn team to the finals. Okay, heading into game 1 in Philadelphia, we have the Boston Celtics, and Jason Tatum wastes no time getting some buckets. Neither does Gary Trent from 3, but even though the Nets are on paper a better team than this team and like the Atlanta Hawks, the two teams that I was really worried about matching up with in the playoffs were this Celtics team and that Atlanta Hawks team that killed me this year. So even though, yeah, the Nets are a better team than these teams are in real life, in 2K, sometimes teams are just better than they are in real life, and that's the case with this Celtics team and especially that Atlanta Hawks team. So that's why I'm so concerned about this matchup in particular. Luckily, we were able to evade the Hawks as they lost in the second round to this Celtics team, but either way, we were going to get a difficult matchup, and maybe I'd probably prefer the Hawks over the Celtics, although no team just frustrated me more than the Hawks did when playing in this actual series. CJ is getting his mid-range shot off in this game. Nice cut there by Jeremy Grant from Ben Simmons in the post-up. I got to start using the cut more because that's an easy way to get assists for Ben Simmons. CJ, luckily though, early on, as well as Gary Trent, are not having too much difficulty with their defensive matchup, which I'm kind of surprised by because these are guys who can play some elite defense, as Marcus Smart just leaves Gary Trent, one of the best shooters in the NBA, wide open. But Jason Tatum makes that alley-oop, misses that three-pointer right there, and then Ben Simmons with the spin move just gets the easy dunk. I wish Ben Simmons wasn't so spammy. I talk about this literally every time. I have to actively not use him to my advantage because he's so easy to take advantage of. Nice three right there by CJ McCollum. So game one, things are looking not too bad for us. It's obviously a close matchup, but we're staying in there. Now, leaving Jason Tatum completely wide open at the top of the key is not a great way of staying in there, but yeah. Moses Moody with this three-pointer right here. Almost always get one three-pointer with Moses Moody per game. That's what he's good for. Bench unit is in right now trying to hold this small lead. We have Tyrese Maxey with a very nice spin and one, and that is a quick 3-point, 2-assist run that Maxey had in just this quarter. Pull-up mid-range shot right there. That play right there was very stupid. I shouldn't have ever attempted a three right there for Aaron Baines, which is why I passed out of it, but then Maxey with the steal and dumps it down for the dunk. So Tyrese Maxey had a very good run at the start of this fourth quarter for our bench unit. Very good contest there by Jeremy Grant on Jason Tatum. Tatum had a good game here, but Grant did a great job matching up with him, and then he gets by Tatum for the and one off of that nice little crossover. Like I said when I initially acquired Jeremy Grant, there is some ability to create with him off of the dribble. I don't use it often, but it is there. And then right here, you see we're blowing this game open, and we're going to walk away with a W here. I don't know if that's a spoiler. There's a minute left, and we're now up 20. So yeah, Gary Trent with a three-pointer to close this one out. He once again had an amazing game. So game one goes to us rather convincingly, and it was partially just because CJ had a good game despite the defensive matchup, and that's what I was worried about, as did Gary Trent, who hit 6 out of his 9 three-pointers. Nice. Jeremy Grant 4 for 5, played nice as well. But game two, I simulate, and we get blown out. We get absolutely destroyed. So hopping into game three, it's now tied 1-1. Jaylen Brown with the drive on Gary Trent. That's what I'm worried about, just because Brown can definitely out-physical Gary Trent, and that's kind of a matchup that I have to deal with. That's the one negative that comes with Gary Trent. He's not a bad defensive player, but he's not a good one either, and he's rather small for a small forward. So there are teams that are able to take advantage of him because of that. And then just to showcase how our offense was going early in this game, just wanted to show that beautiful play of basketball right there. This game, it was a lot more difficult to score. CJ with the nice mid-range pull-up. In general, this series, it was difficult to score because this team's defense was absolutely no joke for me. Nice. I wanted to show Gary Trent off right here. Right as I was talking about his defense being a bit of a weakness, he gets the block on Jaylen Brown, and then Ben Simmons dishes it to him. One little dribble, long two, pull up, green release. I just love Gary Trent. I think I might have called him Jeremy Grant back there, but that's what happens when I do live commentary. Nice dunk right there by the man himself, Jeremy Grant, with the dish from Ben Simmons. Anytime Jeremy Grant scores, I'm pretty much always going to showcase it. And then Jeremy spinning inside gets Robert Williams off him with the pump fake, and he gets the layup up. So he took that coast to coast. But then he gets dunked on by Tristan Thompson. Nurkic makes that three-pointer. Stretch 5 Nurkic has kind of become a thing lately. Marcus goes for the steal right there, which gives CJ the wide open shot, which was nice to be handed that. But as you see, we're at a bit of a deficit here, and then Jason Tatum just decides I'm going to go sicko mode from 3. The whole team does, actually. Jaylen Brown, wide open 3 there, or not even wide open, he made that. That was a wide open 3 for Kemba Walker. Then Jaylen Brown pulling up out of the pick and roll gets the three-pointer, and then Kemba Walker, he has this spin move that drops Grant, and then he dishes it to Nurkic, who gets the and one on Drew Holiday. Kemba Walker driving inside. So it's now a 30-plus point game. This one quickly got away from us. So after this play right there, I decide, yeah, that's enough. I'm going to go ahead and simulate this game because there's no way in hell I'm making a 30-point comeback. Then I decide to simulate game 4, and we have to come back in this game because we're in danger of being in a 3-1 deficit. But I didn't do that. I'm showcasing these 2 plays because that's basically all that happened. We could not score for shit. Yeah, so we're in a 3-1 deficit. Going into game 5, not ideal whatsoever. CJ with 2 mid-range pull-ups early, misses that second one, and Ben Simmons gets that pass to Grant, who hits the three-pointer. This was yet another game where it was really just the defense, but defense didn't matter right there as Jason Tatum hits that three-pointer. But this matchup, I'm going to show it at halftime. I believe in the first half, both teams shot like 35% from the field. Offense was not coming easy for us, but then we were playing good defense on them, so it kind of evened out just to be, this is not the prettiest game of basketball, but it's just a whole lot of defense. So if you're a guy who is more entertained by offense, you're not going to love it all that much. But this footage is edited, so I mean, you only get to see the offense for us really anyway. So you whatever. Alley-oop right there to Ben Simmons. Jason Tatum with that mid-range pull-up off of the screen from Yusuf Nurkic. CJ with a mid-range pull-up of his own off of a screen from Ben Simmons. And yeah, 36% from the field for us, 39% for the Celtics, which means they're obviously shooting better. But yeah, this was definitely a defensive series in general, and this game in particular was the biggest defensive one, at least in the first half. Offense came a little bit easier for us in the second half as Ben Simmons gets that wide open dunk, and Nurkic misses that layup right there off of the little hook shot, and then Ben Simmons driving all the way, dish that to the corner for Jeremy Grant. Anytime Jeremy Grant scores, it's going to show up in the footage. But Kemba Walker dishes that to Tatum, and Tatum just steps to the side. Drew Holiday's like, nah, I'm not going to defend that. And he gets the wide open three-pointer. Kemba just turns. That was too contested for you to be turning around like that, man. That's just disrespectful. Gary Trent gets the wide open three-pointer. We're still sticking in this one, and Gary Trent gets yet another three-pointer. Love Gary Trent. Going to say it 5 times per series. The guy ends up averaging like 18 points, has averaged like 18 points in the playoffs for us thus far, and that's continuing with this series. But Jaylen Brown gets that drive to the basket. Nurkic down low is able to make that shot despite a good contest from Ben Simmons. CJ with this mid-range pull-up passes it to Grant, but then Nurkic is out of position for the dunk by Ben Simmons. Ben trying to take advantage of Jason Tatum, and he's able to bank that one in. It was kind of ugly, but it worked. We have a decent lead here, closing out the fourth quarter, but just a 2-point game now. Pull up from CJ McCollum. He had an overall bad game, but he didn't look too bad in some moments of this game. But then a drive right there by Jason Tatum. A horrible pass by me for Jeremy Grant. And then Jason Tatum dishes that to Nurkic, who I left wide open. And he hits the three-pointer. Play right there, drop down to Ben Simmons. He just misses the layup. Then Jaylen Brown with the mid-range pull-up misses that, but Nurkic is right there for the putback. I'm not going to lie, guys. I was going into this game fully expecting to win. And I wasn't necessarily expecting to win this series, but I can't say I expected to lose in 5 games. That's kind of embarrassing. So the Celtics yet again best the Sixers in the playoffs, and we're going to have to go into this offseason, and honestly, with us losing this game and not really seeing any way to improve drastically from here, I think we're in for some big moves in this offseason. That's the end of this video. Please be sure to like and subscribe for more MyNBA content like this, and cue the outro music.